All right, everybody. Live training number 2. I am super excited to dive into today. I have lots and lots and lots of notes that I want to go over with you. And so we're going to jump right in. So this training will run 30 to 45 minutes ish, hopefully. I'll try to keep it as brief and to the point as possible. But once again, my big goal is for you to get as much value out of our 7 days together as possible. So if you are just jumping in, make sure you go back and watch live training number 1. These live trainings will stay quote live until Sunday, May 1st, this coming Sunday. Again, the reason in not keeping them live forever is I want you guys to take action on this now, not say to quit saying I'm gonna start Monday to change your life. And so I want you to start changing right now. And so just to go over some of the things that we've been through the last several days, I introduced you guys to planning. Again, I want to reiterate that this process that I'm taking you through is something that my clients work through slowly over a 30-day period. So this is a lot of information. This is a lot to do in 7 days. So I want you to fully recognize that. And so, taking messy action is still taking action. You can look at it as done is better than perfect at this point. Continuing to show up is going to build evidence and trust. I tell my clients all the time, you're constantly building or breaking trust with yourself. And so this is constantly building the trust bank for what is possible for you, how you can continue to show up for yourself and how you can continue to get results. And so we did that. We talked about a weekly ritual. So setting time aside each and every week to plan out your week, not in a strict time blocking fashion, but to do brain dumps, to figure out, what's a priority this coming week? What are non-negotiables? What do you really value in the coming week? And how can you start to design your week, your goals based on what is truly meaningful for you, and really visualizing what that healthy lifestyle is going to look and how it's going to add value to your life. I also shared shared the workout guide yesterday, started to talk about the power of NEAT. If you've been in the Strong Mamas and Macros Facebook community since the beginning of April, we've been working on that since the beginning of April. It is stress, sleep, and NEAT are the 3 most underrated aspects of restoring your metabolism and getting the results that you want. Period. So I highly encourage you get to keep that guide for forever. If there's anything that I'm going to say, wait until Monday to start, it's going to be that. Really focus on tracking your steps, really focus on increasing that NEAT. And then, the workouts can come later. I also shared that workouts are the least important when it comes to creating a fat loss goal, when it creating a health goal. In fact, when it comes to your metabolism, what people often don't realize when they say I'm working out all the time and I'm just not seeing results is the fact that the more they exercise, they feel like they need to do more, burn more calories. It's revving up your metabolism. We don't want a fast metabolism because that makes us hungry. That increases cravings. And eventually we're going to continue to eat in order to meet that hunger. We're going to give into those cravings. And so then we just completely negate the fact that we need to be in an energy deficit in order to lose weight. So our goal is to find the Goldilocks gap. The best way to do that is to continue to show up for the practices, to continue to show up, plan your meals, fuel your metabolism, work on your NEAT, work on your sleep, work on your stress. And we're going to walk through all these things today before adding in those workouts so that you have a really strong handle on your biofeedback. So again, just a quick recap on your biofeedback. I've asked you guys to do self-assessments on your sleep, mood, hunger, energy, and cravings throughout the week. Those are your biofeedback markers. Those are your hormones communicating with your body, with your brain, telling you what's going on at a cellular level. So really getting deep there. And so the more in tune that we can get with that, with what we're doing, and then when we start to add things like exercise, then we have a really good handle on what our foundation is. I mentioned in the first training that one of the biggest mistakes that I see folks make is they try to add everything in at once. This is like if you were to go to the doctor and you were to be sick and your doctor just throws a ton of medication and says, I don't really know what's going to work, but try all of these things. One of them is going to work. But at the end of the day, we still don't know what worked. So part of the metabolism restoration process is figuring out what your minimal effective dose is. To use the medication analogy again, if you had a headache and one Tylenol would work, why would you take two? Hopefully that makes sense. I would love to know. I'd love to know how these trainings are setting with you. I love getting your email responses. I've read every single one of them. I love to hear what you guys are learning and what you're taking away. It's directly informing how I'm setting up these live trainings. So without, taking time and building the bricks up, we don't know what's working. And so when it comes to fueling your metabolism, of course, we know that improving the quality of your sleep is going to help. But that's not something really that we need to throw at it. That's not going to take a whole lot more of our time. We need the sleep regardless. But if you're looking for progress and increasing your steps by 100 steps per day works, then why are we going to do that and then add in 5 workouts per week? Right? It's the same when we create caloric deficits. This is there are several biggest beefs with online calculators is it just automatically will slash calories by like 500. MyFitnessPal is notorious for this and doesn't take into consideration, well, if we're going to get progress by decreasing by 100 calories, we can start there and we can get a whole lot of progress before we get to that 500 while we manage any negative adaptation from the metabolism. Because here's the thing, and this is why restoring your metabolism is a non-negotiable in order to get results, in order to heal your health, in order to see the weight loss and the fat loss that you desire, whether you're dealing with hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, PCOS, or just menopause. When we go into an energy deficit, a caloric deficit, which is what every diet program out there will put you through, your metabolism will adapt. Your metabolism will downregulate. Your thyroid hormone downregulates. And so this is continuing to create an issue when we're just throwing blanket calorie deficits at things and we don't take into consideration where our metabolism is sitting. And so by taking the time while you perceive, just had a whole conversation with my one-on-one clients about perceptions, while you perceive that this may be the slower route to your goal, I want to encourage you to shift your mindset to how this is the fastest way to your goal. Because the issue is that we continue struggling to lose weight by just throwing calorie deficit, calorie deficit, calorie deficit. I made an entire post last night on my public profile. You're welcome to go read it about how, especially when dealing with Hashimoto's and PCOS, doctors are constantly saying, eat less, you need to lose weight. That's the cause of your symptoms. That's the cause of your problem. That's the cause of your disease. When in fact, your weight gain is a symptom of the dysfunction that you have going on within your metabolism. And so we continuously try to starve ourselves in order to lose a couple of pounds. Our metabolism adapts and then we rebound. We rebound more, we rebound quicker, and it becomes harder and harder and harder to lose the weight because our metabolism is incredibly smart. As I've said again and again and again, your metabolism is designed to keep you alive. Your metabolism doesn't look in the mirror and say, gosh, we really should lose a few pounds. It just doesn't see things that way. It sees it for what it is. It's storing energy so that it can keep you alive, so that it can protect you, so that your body can function, so that it can try to produce the hormones that it needs. And so just continuing to pull away through exercise, through energy deficits, AKA eating less, excess cardio, all these things, we're just continuing to cause it to negatively adapt. And so through the restoration process, we're refeeding, reintroducing nutrients, reintroducing positive stress management systems, so that we can create a strong foundation, so that we can find that minimum effective dose, so that we can best manage your adaptation. You're going to get adaptation either way, but the restoration process is all about positive adaptation so that we can really set the conditions for the adaptation that you're looking for. And it's a whole nother conversation, but part of the restoration process for some people, for a lot of people, is the fact that once we start to refeed the metabolism, our body starts to let go of fat stores. And again, without getting into all the science of that, Our fat cells don't just disappear, they collapse. And so that's what makes the rebound process easier and faster each and every time. So some people through the restoration process, as we refeed, will start to shed body fat. Some people don't, and that's okay. You're still setting the foundation. This is where having your eye on the long game, the big picture, is crucial part of your success. This is why mindset is such a huge part of my one-on-one coaching program. That is what I just did before I popped on here. I did a weekly mindset meeting where we talk about these different perceptions and how these emotions, how these feelings, how these stories that we create in our head, how our urgency is harmful. It's just harmful. And so continuing to recognize how it would be meaningful for you to alleviate the symptoms of hypothyroidism, to alleviate the symptoms of Hashimoto's, PCOS, menopause, to have balanced hormones, to have energy, to let go of the afternoon brain fog, to wake up feeling rested, to get rid of the hair loss, the excess hair growth, it's common with PCOS, to have normal menstrual cycles, to be able to conceive if that's your goal. Right? How is that meaningful for you? And how is playing the long game of restoring your metabolism going to assist that? I guarantee you it will. I've done this with hundreds of clients at this point. The restoration process is non-negotiable. You're going to perceive it as the slowest way to your goal. It is the fastest. It is the fastest way to your goal. I have one client, she's in this group. She's in the Strong Mamas and Macros group. So if she's watching this and she wants to say, it's me, she can comment below. But she's a perfect example. She spent a year, working in maintenance, working on different behaviors of this process, working on water, working on fiber, working on protein, doing all the right things. And so she's training for some pretty intense endurance events coming up. And so we've got her in a surplus now. She's eating a ton of food. And we had a call, gosh, I guess it's been close to a month. And so her question is, how can I eat so much, but I'm not gaining anything? And it really is a testament to the process of creating this resilient metabolism that we teach to adapt to what we're giving it. So it knows how to efficiently use what we're giving it. And so a common driver of some of these big hormonal issues, hormonal dysfunction, is the fact that we continuously, and again, I will tell you, most of this is not your fault. These are perceptions that society has sold to us. Our doctors have sold to us. I pretty decently fit person. When I went to a physician and OBGYN last July, as we'd been struggling for a while with fertility, I have Hashimoto's, I have PCOS, solid amount of muscle, I had visible abs. I will, not to create comparison, but I will be completely honest. I weigh 150 pounds. 150 pounds is my happy weight when I have a good amount of muscle mass that I'm proud of and that I enjoy and I can live my life freely. And without laying hands on me, without doing anything, looked at my height, my age, my weight. And the doctor point blank told me that the reason that I couldn't conceive is because of my weight. And so I can tell you, I talked about this on the Strong Mamas and Macros podcast in my fertility journey. I can tell you, as someone that has been in the nutrition industry, that's been in the health industry for over a decade, I've honestly done just about every element of the health and wellness industry before I truly found my passion and my calling. It was hard. It created some body image issues. It created a lack of self-trust in me in being able to do what I knew was necessary for my own hormonal health. Fired that doctor. I have a much better one now. But I say that to say that a lot of this is not your fault. And so, being told to eat less, to weigh less, to do all these things puts us into this dieting mentality, which is what I just talked to my one-on-one clients about, dieting mindset. I also have a podcast on the Strong Mamas and Macros podcast about that. But looking at it from a perspective that we just need to keep pulling back from our plates. And part of the reason, aside from the negative metabolic adaptation, that this really adds gasoline to the fire of hormonal imbalance is it also creates nutrient deficiencies. And so, again, we're not going to get into macros this week. That's just too much. Typically, that's something that I'm more focused on in the rebuild phase with my clients. So remember, the restore is only one phase. So looking to future phases, really looking at the macronutrition for what it is, the foods that our body needs in large quantities, you can take that and you can actually start to repair some of these nutrient deficiencies that we have created from this feeling to constantly eat less, do more. On the flip side, overeating and overfueling also creates nutrient deficiencies because our body doesn't appropriately process the food and the nutrients that we're giving it. So all of that to say, I'm going to walk through the 5 major things that we need to focus on as far as finishing out these 7 days. And so there is, if you're in the Strong Mamas and Macros group, there is a pinned post. There is a guide. It does include more recipes and it does include more workouts. So you're welcome to grab those as well. But my guide goes through my 5 keys to balancing your hormones so that you can feel the energy and the confidence that you want in your body. So, and it does go over some of the things that we've gone over as far as the metabolism and what it is. And so we have, in the restoration process, which is where we are here, we are working on continuing to fuel our metabolism. And I've started to talk about in the last couple of days, the movement piece. But I want to reiterate how important it is to follow the streamlined process. I've laid it out for a reason. So again, the more we fuel our metabolism, the more we can feed into that biofeedback system, that biofeedback loop, so that we can take that information and we can actually use that to manage the adaptation that we want. But I wanted to specifically talk a little bit more about movement and stress as really big dial movers as far as the metabolism goes. So going back to the fact that sleep, stress, and non-exercise activity thermogenesis are the 3 most valuable and most underrated aspects of a true transformation. I'm going to continue to say that, but movement is one of the pieces of balancing your hormones. And so when it comes to movement, we have different kinds. That's why I like to call it movement versus exercise, because movement can look like a totally different thing. And much like I've talked about carbohydrates, part of the process that I take my clients through is finding their unique carbohydrate tolerance, but we also want to find your unique movement tolerance as well. And so movement should be really, really, really prescriptive as far as what's going on for you hormonally, what's going on for you lifestyle wise, what's going on for you personal preference wise as well. Because again, going back to the fact that the metabolism is a barometer for your overall stress, we want to really make sure that we understand what that means. And so stress can come from your boss. It can come from your spouse, your kids, your dog. It can come from food. Overeating and undereating are both stressors. It can come from the news. Heck, it can come from a TV show. Definitely can come from exercise. And the thing about all these different stressors is while our metabolism is incredibly intelligent, it does not differentiate between I went to CrossFit or Orange Theory or went for a run and a bear was chasing me, right? It's still going to create a cortisol response. So one of the biggest things that we have to recognize, and one of the biggest differences between exercise stress and I'm going to say boss stress, is typically work stress is decoupled from movement. So it sits in the body, it raises our cortisol levels, which yes, cortisol is directly linked to decreased hormone production, decreased insulin sensitivity, decreased melatonin production, which affects our quality of sleep. And it also decreased hormone function. So reproductive hormones, thyroid hormones, so on and so forth. So lots and lots and lots of things there. But when we're not moving through our stress, it can create chronic stress. And so lots of things can create chronic stress aside from work, but I'm just using that as an example. Illnesses, things like that. The fact that you have Hashimoto's or PCOS can be a chronic stressor for you. So lots of things that are going there. But over time, our body has decoupled stress from movement. So creating this chronic stress that leaves in the body. Exercise is more of an acute stress. However, if we have an excess buildup of chronic stress, adding acute stress on top of the chronic stress is not super helpful. So this is where the importance of NEAT or walking to help improve insulin sensitivity, to help lower cortisol levels, to help move the stress through our body. We could talk about, there's a great book, it's called The Body Keeps the Score, how we store trauma in our body, how we store these events in our body, and how our body never forgets these things. This directly influences our hormones, directly influences our thoughts and our perceptions, and directly influences our health and therefore our results. But again, going back to the importance of, managing our steps and looking at different ways that we can manage stress throughout our day. So there's always going to be stressors. There's always going to be circumstances that we cannot control. Always, 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 always. However, I want you to remember that we can start to manage stress. We can start to reduce stress that we can't eliminate, right? So walking, meditation is a great way to do that. Reading a book. I don't recommend a horror book or a thriller or something like that. Just a lighthearted book that makes you feel good. Other ways to manage or moderate, mediate stress is yoga, not power yoga. Thinking about yin yoga, restorative yoga, breath work, sex, orgasms are a great way to reduce stress. All these different things that we can incorporate into our lives are going to be helpful in reducing our overall stress input. So what I want to encourage you to do, what I want one of your takeaways to be from today's training is to make a list, to journal on this. What are hobbies? What are activities? Knitting is one for me. Knitting helps to calm me and soothe me. I do it most every evening. In fact, my knitting bag is right beside me. I had to take a test this morning, so that was helpful. What hobbies? Horses, dogs, pets. What kind of hobbies, what kind of activities make you feel joyful, make you feel happy? Spending time with children when they're not, getting on your nerves, spending time with friends. This is why community and socialization is so important. Helps to manage the overall stress input. This is huge, 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 huge. It will directly influence your eating behaviors, your cravings, your sleep, your health, your hormones, everything. So that was just a brief yet passionate rundown on stress as we get into movement. So let's go over the purpose of movement, because again, I feel like the fitness industry has sold us, I know a lot of Trojan horses when it comes to exercise. We have fitness trackers that tell us how many calories we burn, and we're constantly chasing like closing Apple rings and all these things. I don't personally use trackers like that. I do utilize an Oura ring and a Whoop. These can be great ways. They can be great ways to track your stress, your HRV, your recovery, and things like that, and your overall strain on your body without being something that you necessarily chase. But also recognizing that if gyms aren't filling up their fitness classes, if trainers aren't filling up their schedules, and they're not making money. So it's part of the reason that I left the personal training industry, because I felt that it was broken, constantly needing to book more sessions in order to meet my goal for my income so that I could live my life. Yet at the same time, as the more I got into it, recognizing that I wasn't truly transforming anyone's life, because I wasn't helping them manage things like their stress, their sleep, their nutrition. And so that's exactly how I got there. I went to the polar opposite just for a brief rundown of how all this works together in really focusing on nutrition. But again, unless you're helping folks manage all these different lifestyle factors, there's missing pieces. And of course, you can work with a nutritionist alongside a personal trainer. I have plenty of clients that do that. Of course, you can work with, a life coach in conjunction with a nutritionist and a personal trainer. But what I found for most of the people that I work with, especially dealing with hormone dysfunction, Hashimoto's and PCOS, they don't have the time, the energy, the resources to go to multiple different avenues in order to get the support and the help that they need and they deserve. And so for me, that model was broken, and that's how I created the Strong Method. It's how I created my formula to be able to help folks strengthen, transform, build resilience through ownership, nutrition, and guidance. That's what the Strong Method is for. And I am obsessed with my program. I'm obsessed with what I do because it works. It does help people transform their lives. And so, from that perspective, I can help educate and advocate for what exercise truly is. And so it is a way to add value to your life, to help you build muscle, which is crucial as we age, moving through menopause, to support our bone health, to support our hormonal health. It helps increase hormone production. Strength training, muscle building helps support healthy testosterone production, which, yes, as a woman, you need, especially in perimenopause. It helps improve your self-confidence. This is a big thing. This is a big thing when moving through a transformation. I have so many women come to me and, they'll be frustrated with the scale, lack thereof, all kinds of different ways that our hormones can play with it. Our symptoms can play with that. But, when we're working out, again, we're building evidence of how strong we are, how capable we are, and it improves our self-confidence, our self-efficacy, which directly correlates into physical results, improved health, and then that total overall confidence in our body that we seek. This has been scientifically shown that women who lift weights have increased self-confidence, and self-confidence consistently leads to more action, which is going to yield to better results. However, what I want to remind you is what you do to lose weight is what you have to do to maintain your weight. So if strength training 5 days a week is not going to be super sustainable for you, you shouldn't do that to lose weight. You can get incredible results with 2 to 3 sessions per week. Incredible results. The guide that I gave you guys, there's tons of workouts in there that are 20 minutes. You can get incredible results just by consistently showing up and using exercise for what it is: a way to build endurance, a way to build strength, a way to build muscle, not a way to punish yourself for what you ate, not a way to just burn excess calories for the heck of it. All right. Here's the thing for women though. We lose muscle twice as fast as men. It's just the way our hormonal makeup is. So when people tell you that you're going to get bulky lifting weights, I've been trying for years, can't do it. But it's important for bone density. It's important for our energy. Yes, it does increase caloric burn, but not through the actual exercise, through the muscle that we're doing. And it makes you more capable as you age, right? I used to tell my clients all the time, because they hated when I'd make them get up and down off the floor. And I'd always say, but you want to be able to do this when you're 80, right? So yeah. From a metabolic perspective, when we look at different modalities of movement and exercise, weightlifting is less likely to create excess hunger and cravings, whereas excess cardio increases cortisol production and increases hunger and overall cravings. And so looking at it from this perspective, when choosing the movement that's right for you, this is not going to be a speech on don't do cardio. I'm personally not a cardio fan, but typically cardio is not the best form of exercise for Hashimoto's. It typically winds up making us more tired and more fatigued, which is not great. But again, when you're constantly being told do more cardio, lose more weight, it becomes a double-edged sword for you. So I'm here to advocate for you and tell you don't have to do a bunch of cardio. I know it makes you tired. But if it's something that you enjoy, we just want to make sure that we're feeding your metabolism appropriately. Remember, hunger and cravings are cues from your metabolism that your body needs something on a physiological level or a psychological level as well. There are both elements, but your body's really good at getting what it wants, getting what it needs. And so we're not going to be able to fight that hunger for forever. So finding your Goldilocks gap is going to be key when it comes to adding in cardio, making sure that you're eating adequately enough for your burn. We don't want to continue to create this large gap of eat less, exercise more. It backfires every single time. Will you lose weight? Maybe at first, but you will 100% rebound. I guarantee it. Or worse off, you'll get to your goal and you will not be able to sustain that. Again, your metabolism is incredibly adaptive. It will adapt to that. And then you'll have to keep doing more and more and more and eating less and less and less in order to get to where you want to be. So I highly recommend finding your Goldilocks gap, fueling yourself enough, moving your body for the right reasons, I'm focusing on that NEAT. So your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, it's a fancy term for how much we're moving outside of our workouts, right? Your steps. I have clients that have under desk ellipticals, little bicycles, stationary bikes. We just want to be moving more than we're sitting. We can fidget, get up and down, walk to fill up your water bottle, all these things. Sit instead of lying down. That's a big one. When you go to watch TV, I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, don't lay on the couch, sit up. Stand instead of sit. If you have the opportunity, if you work, I have a standing desk. I'm not using it a whole lot now at the stage in my pregnancy. my hips and my legs get tired really, really fast. Park farther away from a building entrance. All these things seem really silly, but they add up. Stairs instead of an escalator. Go after walks after every meal. This is a great way to build insulin sensitivity, to improve digestion, to lower cortisol, and really, really amplify your results. Chores is a great way. I always tell my clients this story, but it's funny because it works. I try to, when I fold laundry, I try to fold from the furthest spot that I need to take it. And so I'll take one piece at a time. And so I was showing some clients, I got 5,000 steps doing that on a weekend. So that's a really big thing. And so, again, going back to looking at what's going to be the best for you, it's going to be on an individual, a really individualized basis. So, recognizing where you are in your life, where you are in this season, how can you lower the overall stress input on your body? Again, if I could give you just a straight, this is what you should do, and I'm not, because again, I want to reiterate that everything is individualized, is that you start by building up consistency in your meals, start to refuel your metabolism, start to manage stress at the same time, start to focus on sleep and recovery. Gradually work on adding your NEAT, and then from there, add your exercise. And so what you'll start to notice is, while that seems like a really slow, drawn out process, is it gets faster and faster over time. The more you're well fed, the more you're fueled, the more you're going to feel like stress is not that big of a deal. Because have you ever heard the term hangry? The more we're underfed and undernourished, the less tolerance we have for stress from our boss, from our husband, from our friend, from our mom, from our children, from our dog, all these different things. That's why when people are dieting, they're much less friendly than when they're in a maintenance phase. So you'll start to notice that kind of helps it. You'll have more energy to start actually taking steps, right? You'll want to do that more. You'll start to sleep better, which will make you wake up feeling more rested. And this will bleed into the fact that you'll want to start moving. This is something that I see again and again and again and again with my clients. They come into the program and they always want to say, I want to do all the things at one time. I'm in week 2. What more can we do? And when I have to be the voice of reason and say, let's slow down, let's ease into it. And then we'll get a couple of weeks in and they'll just be itching to start exercising because they have more energy and they feel better. They have more energy and they feel better. And so all of these things go hand in hand in hand. And what I see time and time again, when I start to chat with people in consultations and from applications, is that they're so burned out, they're so overwhelmed from trying all the things, that they're really apprehensive and they lack a whole lot of self-trust in their ability to follow through with something. And so what I want you to know is that you don't have to do all the things in order to get all of the results. Okay. And so last thing, I talked about sleep in your manual. So if you haven't gone through the roadmap, yes, of course you get to keep that for forever. Make sure you go through that. But sleep is crucial. Recovery is crucial. Rest is a productive activity. I have to tell my clients this, I can't tell you how many times, but getting 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep each night, it's quality versus quantity, helps your body in so many ways, especially when it comes to restoring your metabolism. Your body is recovering, it's repairing, it's resetting, it's doing all the things, it's digesting. And so when it doesn't get the sleep that it needs, your hormones get all whacked out, right? You get hungrier, you're crankier, all the things. And yes, this will lead to typically overindulging, fat storage, and more. So if I know a couple of you have told me that sleep is one of your priorities for this week, I would love to know how that's going. I know it's only Tuesday, but I'd love to know how that's going. Here are some tips that I want to give you for sleep. Schedule 7 to 8 hours. and you have to schedule it, right? So how do you do that? You figure out when you have to wake up and you count backwards. Okay. That's the most basic thing that I could tell you to do. And again, these seem super remedial until you try them and it works. Include time for relaxing evening wind down activities. And so this can look like anything. I can tell you what it doesn't look like. And I can also tell you this is one of the biggest struggles for my clients when it comes to sleep and evening routines. It doesn't look like scrolling through your phone. Blue lights, again, you can just Google research on blue lights, are incredibly disruptive to quality of sleep. So I encourage you to put your phone in another room, put it far away, turn it off, whatever, you can do that. I also mentioned in your roadmap, avoiding caffeine after 1 p.m. is a huge thing. I made that mistake yesterday. I'm dealing with pregnancy insomnia on top of the fact that I was really tired and had a ton of work to do yesterday. And so I got coffee a little bit late. Mistake I will not make again. And I was up way, way, way too late, did not get enough sleep, and I'm going to pay the price today, but I know better. Don't eat too close to bedtime. Yes, we want to fuel. Yes, we want to eat, but give yourself 2 hours to digest your food. So interesting, if you do use like an Oura Ring, an HRV tracker, it's really interesting to see how eating can affect your heart rate as you're working to digest food. And we want to make sure that your heart rate lowers so that you can truly get restful sleep. So as best as you can, schedule going to bed. Alcohol is not your friend when it comes to relaxing to go to sleep. It can interfere with falling asleep, staying asleep, and sleep quality. So if you are consuming alcohol as a part of your routine this week, as a part of your week, again, I never tell anyone that they can't have anything that they want, but try to do it earlier in the evening, maybe on a day that you don't have to be up super early the next day, so that you can make sure that you get ample sleep. And lastly, make sure that your environment supports restful sleep. Right? If you need to clean up your room, this is something that I have to do. I can't rest in a messy room. Make sure that you can get pillow spritzers, make sure your pillow smells good, make sure it's nice and dark, it's the right temperature, get a sound machine if you need to. Sleep meditations are a great way to wind down and relax. Reading, again, I knit, but I have specific evening knitting projects. Can't knit anything super complex because it doesn't work for winding down. It just gets my head going. So if this is one of your goals, if this is something that you rated last Thursday when we did that as something that you really needed to work on, then I encourage you just to go through this and say, okay, what's something that I can try now? Again, just like I said, and throwing everything at your metabolism, you don't want to throw all these things in at once. If you literally can't schedule 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night, can you just start with the wind down regimen? Can you start by adjusting your meal time? Can you reduce alcohol intake? Can you adjust when you get caffeine? What seems the most doable for you right now? Do that, monitor your progress, and move from there. All right. So we are a little bit under 45 minutes. I'm kind of impressed with that. Again, I know this is a lot. I know this is super, super, super dense. Again, I just want to keep reiterating, this is a process that I walk my clients through in 4 weeks, sometimes 4 to 6 weeks, just depending. So it's a lot of information, but I hope that you find this valuable. I would love, 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 love to hear what is resonating with you. Again, make sure that you're staying up to date on each one of these trainings. They will go away on Sunday. And I look forward to connecting with you again one more time on Thursday, except don't forget to mark your calendar for Monday at 4 p.m., the live Q&A session. If you can't make it live, submit any questions ahead of time, but I hope as many of you as possible will be able to make it live with me. We'll chat about some of these things. We'll strategize together. And I cannot wait to hear how everything else is going for you. I will be in touch tomorrow for some more information. And then again, we'll connect on Thursday for our next live training.